I'm glad to have you here because I'm a big fan of some of your films and series. One of the most important for me is your role in Fringe, Walter Bishop. How important is the role for you?
It's hugely important. When I heard about this role, my daughter was in Los Angeles and she said, "Dad, there's this role, it's made for you." So I rang my manager at the time and said, "Oh, my daughter says this role's made." And he said, no, they're not interested in you, you're too young, something. Anyway, I was back in Australia, gone back, and I get this call. They do want to see you. And they sent the piece that I was to audition with. And it was a wonderful piece. And so I did it, and my daughter actually read opposite me in that audition, but I knew. I came home that day and said to my wife, I said, "I'm going to get that role." It's just this weird feeling. And normally what you have to do is go through a lot of stages to get a role. And you do that, and then you go for it, and then you do callbacks for all sorts of producers, and you do chemistry. Nothing. They just gave it to me. It was weird. I loved it. I loved that very much.
A big story a big part of the story is the family, Walter with his son, because as you know, in the beginning they are really like two persons who don't really know how to manage each other, and in the end they found their love. Yes. How do you see the change of the two characters in the series?
Do you know, it's a funny thing that whatever I look at, these great shows, if there isn't a personal relationship, if there isn't a growth, if there isn't something between a father and a son or a family, some family issue, something in there, then the show doesn't work for me. And it doesn't work because you can have all of the technology in the world, but unless we're human beings in there, then it doesn't work. It doesn't sustain our interest. So we went to a lot of trouble with the father-son, for example. Joshua and I would work very hard to make sure that each moment was right, so that we didn't suddenly become, "Oh, Daddy, I haven't seen you, but I love you." No, you didn't love me, you know? And I sincerely, first thing I said, "Oh, I thought you'd be fatter." I mean, what sort of father says that? But we built, and we knew we could build it slowly. So that love for each other built. And that we did this very deliberately, similar with Anna and the others. We just let it build because you don't do that straight away, you know? It takes time to learn to respect and then to love someone. So that's very much part of the way we approach it. And the shows, we talked, Jenna thought that was father-son relationships, and I'm doing Elementary, that's father-son relationships, and that's what holds these things together. So, yeah, it's got to be there for me. The family, absolutely, the relationships. And all the things that go with it, the good and the bad and the ugly and the slowness. But it's a number of people that say to me, it was a story about science. It was the family. Their hearts would bleed for us. So.
How difficult was it to be like the two Walters? Because there was the good one and the terrific one.
You know, it wasn't. It's technical. It's technical acting. Without going into a long sort of rave about how this happens, but it's technical, and it's to do with your body language, and it's to do with what that does to your voice, and what clothes you might wear. There's a whole series of factors come into it. No, it wasn't difficult. It was fun. It was great fun. But I mean, I understood it very well, what they were going through, and as did Anna when she did both of them, and Jessica. And so we understood what was necessary in there. It's technical acting, but it's such fun to do it. And the look on Anna Pator's face when she got to play Bolivia was, "Oh, thank God," you know, because Olivia's such a tight, tucked-in person. And then she just, suddenly this sexy redhead comes out and you go, "Oh my God, that's the same girl." Yeah, it was wonderful to see that. But technical.
A second big part is science. What would you say was the strangest thing that Walter invented?
Look, we know that Walter was a brilliant scientist, but probably the strangest part about Walter was that he he was also, he loved drugs. He came from a period of time in the 80s at Harvard, which were called, with Timothy Leary and those people who were doing experiments on LSD and other drugs, and he was part of that team. So that in itself was a very interesting and still very interesting piece of research, even though it was then pushed aside. It was funded by the CIA, by the way, and so that was part of it, and that's built into it. Also, the music he loved was Grateful Dead and all those things that formed us in that time, that generation. Science, I mean, he knew so many things. I can't actually pick one, except that he was one of those people, those rare people that have a vision to see within the ridiculous, to find the truth within the ridiculous. And other people are saying, that's rubbish. And no. And we have them now. We have visionaries all over the place. You know, the things that are happening in technology are astounding. And even 3 years ago weren't possible. That's how fast it's going. But some girl, man, woman has the imagination and the education to do that. And I think this is fantastic to recognise. And Walter Bishop was one. Nothing specific comes to mind. The fun part of it was he would do anything. He could do anything. But the way he went about it was sometimes unusual. And the fact that he would sometimes just get stoned. He'd just get ripped. And there were some very funny scenes about that too. Just a man that could do anything. Nothing comes to mind immediately. I mean, you've got all the stuff. No, I don't want to start because there's many of them. Basically, he could do anything, but he was a character that was also part of that Harvard experiment, which gave him his eccentricity, I think. Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
There were for sure some funny filmings, like you had a cow in the laboratory.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's Gene, my friend.
What would you say was the most funniest thing filming it?
Well, Gene the cow there were several Genes in different places, but the first one we had was in Toronto when we did the pilot, and there was a scene with myself and Jessica Nicole sitting there having Chinese food, watching SpongeBob, and the cow was here, and the cow put his head over and helped himself, ate the Chinese food. We just kept filming it, and it stayed in as this cow ate and those cows were funny because their timing was perfect. They seemed to know when the camera would hit them. They'd be standing up there pooping and doing all the things and then the camera would hit them and go, just perfect timing. They knew, absolutely. And they liked me because I love animals, and I knew animals because I was from the country, so they were fine. One day the producers in New York said, we've got a bit of a problem. It says here you have to milk a cow, so we're going to get you in to teach you how to milk a cow. I'm a country boy. So we got to milk the cow and squirt people with it and all that sort of stuff. That was fun. I remember squirting Josh Jackson with it. Remember Tip with it. That was great fun.
Okay, time is running. Last question. What's your next project?
I'm going back to New York to do a stage play where I played Toscanini, the conductor, which I'm really looking forward to. Starts rehearsals on the 10th of December. That's what I'm doing. After that, I don't know.
No new films planned?
No, nothing signed up. Nothing signed up. And there's nothing really igniting me. No. We'll take a step at a time. So, look, it's a matter of, there's stuff around that it doesn't really interest me. I mean, I'm getting older, I don't want to do stuff I don't want to do. Do you know? So, I get a bit choosy now. But I know that there's something out there. And I think we all feel that that's going to break through. But we'll know when it does. And other stuff, no, leave it to someone else.